Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. Isn't it the prettiest day? It's just the most beautiful morning. Yesterday was beautiful. Today is beautiful. I'm excited to be in the Word with you today. I love Esther chapter 6. I'm telling you, this is the best story ever. This is just so good. It's a short chapter, but it is so sweet. I'm glad that you're with me. My name is Tim Harris. This is 10 with Tim. We go verse by verse. I think you know what we're doing here. If you're new, you'll catch on. It's so fun, and I just love being with you guys so much. We just joined together. We read the Bible together every day, and we're going verse by verse the book of Esther. And I've read it before, but I'm telling you, chapter 6 is just so good. So it's kind of the turning point when you think about it. And the whole thing is just the fact that the king can't sleep. As we said, there's no direct reference to God at all in the book of Esther. In this whole story, there's one verse that perhaps God's name is coded, but at the same time, just providence. I mean, the way God provides, the way God works out his purposes, it's just sort of fun and undeniable. And all of these things in chapter 6, none of these are coincidence, although they're all just like, what? I mean, it's just like, it all happens the way it happens, but you know that God, his hand is in all of this. So the king can't sleep. And so he says, "Hey, bring me the record. Bring me my diary. Whatever. It's the record of his daily interactions during his reign. He just wants to read about himself. And anyway, in the course of his late night reading, he runs across the old story of how Mordecai saved his sorry behind. Mordecai saved the king's life. It's been over 5 years ago. You remember that? Mordecai thwarted an assassination attempt, and the king knew that Mordecai did it, but remember at the time, nothing happened. Like, he didn't recognize Mordecai. He didn't do anything. He didn't make him hometown hero. He didn't give him a Chick-fil-A gift card. I mean, nothing. And we mentioned at the time, he didn't do anything for Mordecai. Well, see, that's the whole thing. I just love God's timing. Because if he had of, made him hometown hero, back in chapter 2 or whatever, then now this wouldn't happen. And the thing is, it's delayed. God knows what he's doing. So he was never recognized 5 years ago. So now God's going to save his life. This is going to save Mordecai's life because the king can't sleep. And so he runs across the whole thing that Mordecai saved his life. He thought, man, I never did anything nice for him. And so anyway, the king's like, oh, I got to fix that. And this is very historical, actually. The Persian kings are sort of known for their extravagant and quick reward and recognition for those who please them. I mean, that's historical. Here's why he said, hey, who's out there in the outer court? I mean, it's just so funny. Who's out there? And they said, well, it's Mordecai. Which is kind of funny. That means Mordecai ain't sleeping either. But Mordecai's not sleeping for other reasons. Mordecai just, he's awake because he's so excited because he's going to kill somebody today. Remember, he sharpened a pole that's 8 stories tall, and his whole plan, I keep saying Mordecai. It was Haman. Haman's whole plan was to impale Mordecai, on the pole. I switch those guys' names up every time. I'm so sorry. I keep you so confused. Haman is in the outer court because he's so excited because he's going to kill Mordecai. All right? Have I got it straight now? And so, anyway, Haman hadn't slept either. He hadn't slept. He's just so excited. And so the king says, bring him in. Haman is obviously there because he wants to be first in line. He's so excited to get his day going, and to kill Mordecai. So, anyway, the king says, what should I do to honor a man that really pleases me? All right, this is funny because Mordecai's thinking, we're talking about me. He's talking about me because Mordecai thinks everything's about him, So Mordecai's like, he's thinking about, I'm sorry, it's Haman. It's Haman. It's Haman. I can't get it straight today. I'm so sorry, y'all. I've had a long 2 weeks. So Haman cannot get it straight. I mean, he just cannot cannot understand that we're not talking about him. And so the king says, how should I reward the person that I just really want to reward? And so Haman's thinking, all right, we're talking about me, you know. The funny thing here is that this is sort of the inverse of the conversation that Haman had with the king before, when Haman tricked Xerxes, the king, into ordering the death of all the Jews. But remember, he never told him what race of people he was trying to wipe out. He just said, hey, there's some people in your kingdom that don't play by your rules. And the king said, well, okay, kill them. You know, we never said Jews, you know. And so here, King Xerxes never says, you know, who he wants to reward. And so Haman just assumes, well, we're talking about me. So he says, how should we reward the man that pleases me? And so Haman says, I think what you should do is take one of the robes that you've already worn. Okay. Personally, I think that's a little creepy. And I think it's supposed to be a little creepy. You understand that Haman craves this intimacy with royalty. You know, he doesn't just want like to wear something that, you know, that from the king's closet. He wants to wear something that the king, he wants to wear something that still smells like the king, you know. I think Haman's creepy. I just think he's creepy. So he wants a robe that the king has worn, you know, and then put that man, again, we're not saying the name, but Haman knows it's him, you know. So put him on a horse that's still warm because the king just sat on him, you know, and I mean, just lay on thick and get somebody, get one of the king's royal officials to walk along beside and go, this is what happens, you know, when the king really loves you. I mean, you know, Haman's just laying on. Haman just describes his own personal dream come true. You know, like this is what Haman wants all day long, every day, you know. And so the king said, excellent. That sounds terrific. Hey, why don't you go do that now for Mordecai the Jew? And he says, Mordecai the Jew. Some people have wondered, like, wait a minute. He knows Mordecai's a Jew? Like, we didn't know that the king knew Mordecai was a Jew. And isn't this sort of a contradiction? Because the king has issued a decree that all the Jews are going to be killed on March the 7th. But remember, anybody could have told Xerxes that Mordecai's a Jew. And at this point, King Xerxes, he's a dummy. He still doesn't know that it's the Jews that he's killing. Haman never said the Jews, you know. So none of that even is ironic to the king. I mean, he's just, you know, the king's like the only person in the story that doesn't know how much Haman hates Mordecai. You know, he has no idea, which makes this so delicious, so much fun. So anyway, that's what they do. They go get Mordecai out of bed and they put him in the king's robe on the king's horse. And Haman has to walk alongside and go, this is what happens to the person that the king loves. I mean, he has to do it. Haman has to do it. He stayed up all night dreaming about killing this man, and now he's personally got to honor him and shout out the accolades, you know, to the masses. And when it's over, notice verse 12 is amazing. When all this is over, this amazing event, it doesn't affect Mordecai at all. Mordecai just goes right back to his spot. You know, that moment of glory, you know, it didn't stick to him, you know, which I think is just sort of amazing. And I want to be that guy. You know, in other words, he wasn't like, I wish this could never end. You know, I wish I could keep the robe. Can I wear the crown? You know, Mordecai's like, all right, whatever. And he goes back, you know, and sits back in his spot by the gate. It doesn't change him one bit. But oh my goodness, this whole experience has been traumatizing to Haman. You know, it's just traumatizing. Haman is the kind of guy that can't see somebody else get something good without feeling like it was taken away from him, you know, and he is humiliated and he is dejected. He is mad. He is sad. He is traumatized. He goes home pouting again. And his wife, Zeresh, and his confidants here. It's interesting because for the first time, he has wise advisors. And this time, I mean, last time Zeresh said, just kill Mordecai. Why don't you just put him on a pole? You know, I mean, last time, but we weren't talking about all the Jews. And now he has wise advisors. This is what he did not get. Remember when he comes up with the idea of killing all the Jews, Mordecai, he didn't ask anybody, he just did it. But here he finally gets some wise advice, and it's sort of a foreshadowing of what's to come because they say, Mordecai's a Jew. You didn't say he was a Jew. Oh man, you're never going to succeed in your plans against him. I mean, it's just this idea that they have, that this knowledge that Jews are God's people. Their God's going to fight for them, and they're unstoppable. You might as well give up. You're never gonna see your plans come against this man. And then while they're still talking, they come and they usher Haman to Esther's banquet. So poor Haman. I mean, and he thought, could this day get any worse? And I promise you, this day's about to get a whole lot worse for Haman. So there you go. I love this story. Yo, I'm so sorry. I always, I know who's who, but I always confuse Haman and Mordecai's names. So y'all, I'm sorry. I don't know how many times I did that today, or how many times I've done it the other day. But read the book, read the Bible for yourself, and you'll keep it straight. Haman and Mordecai. So anyway, Haman's day is about to get a whole lot worse. So we'll pick up right here tomorrow with Esther chapter 7. It's a chapter that gets shorter. This is only 10 verses. Esther chapter 7 verses 1 to 10 for tomorrow. Enjoy this beautiful day that God has made. Stay in the Word, and I will see you in the morning, Lord willing, 10 o'clock for 10 with Tim. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.